Here is a summary of our introduction to clauses. First, let's review the definition. A clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. This is the key defining quality. Clauses have a subject and a verb. You've done phrases. Phrases can have a noun. They can have verbs in them, but they won't ever have both a subject and a verb. Only a clause has a subject and a verb. Here are some examples. The girls created a hilarious video. You can see the subject and the verb. Although I enjoy snowboarding, I have always enjoyed swimming the most. You can see I have a subject and verb here, and I have another subject, in this case a verb phrase, helping verb, action verb. In this sentence, I actually have two subjects and verbs, which means I have two clauses. There are two pairs of subjects and verbs. All right, so a clause has a subject and a verb. There are some sentences that have an implied subject, the command or imperative sentences. So remember that they too are clauses. If you were here in 8th grade, you would have learned, in fact, to put in the implied you in a command. And when you do that, you can see you have a subject and a verb, and this is a clause. So we can do that in all of these. So the implied verb, you clean your room, or you finish the novel first, and then you choose your essay topic. So don't forget that these are also clauses. There are two categories of clauses. The first are the independent clauses, which I find that 9th graders completely understand. They have a subject and a verb. I'm going to repeat that a lot just to make sure you get it. The key thing about an independent clause is that it can stand alone as a sentence. Francesca laughed. You can see the subject and the verb. Two girls sat in the tree house. The runner will speed to the hurdle and leap over. In this case, we have a compound predicate, two verbs, but it's one subject-verb pairing. All right, so these stand alone as sentences. The other category are dependent clauses. And dependent clauses also have a subject and a verb, but they cannot stand alone as a sentence. Here's some examples. Which she put in the kitchen because the bus left early. Whoever made this mess? That we should study. These are all clauses. They have subjects and verbs. This is a helping verb, action verb. They have subject and verbs, but they are not complete sentences. And if you wrote them in your paper, we would call them sentence fragments. There are three types of dependent clauses: adjective, adverb, and noun. The adjective clause is a clause that modifies a noun or a pronoun in the same way that adjectives modify them. Here's an example. I'm actually circling the signal word, but here's the adjective clause. The main clause is the girl will run track in college. This is the adjective clause. It has a subject and a verb, but it is functioning here as an adjective because it is saying which girl. It answers one of the classic adjective questions, which one, which girl. The adverb clause. An adverb clause is a clause that modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. In this example, the main clause is, we hid her presents. You can see it stands alone. Here's my adverb clause, and it's like those intro adverb clauses in the comma rule that you put a comma after. Here's my subject and here's my verb, and it has a signal word, and we'll talk about those later. And it's answering the classic adverb question of when. When did we hide the presents? So adverb clauses function like adverbs. New this year is the noun clause. If you were here last year, you would have studied adverb and adjective clauses, and now we're introducing the noun clause, which is a clause that functions as a noun in a sentence, and we'll review all the functions of a noun as we go forward. Here are two examples. Here's the first one. This is the subject and this is the verb, and this is where noun clauses get kind of interesting. In this case, this noun clause is actually altogether, all the words together in the clause, the subject of the sentence. Whoever made this mess had better clean it up. This is the subject. Remember, nouns function as subjects, among other things in sentences. Here's another one. We have the subject and we have the verb, and this is one of my signal words that we'll talk about signal words later. And this one is a direct object. If you remember the abbreviation, it's I hope what? I hope that we have ice cream for dessert. And so here, this is a noun clause functioning as a direct object, because as we know, nouns also function as direct objects. So that's a review of clauses. Here's a summary of the main points. Every clause has a subject and a verb. Key. There are two categories of clauses, independent and dependent. Independent clauses have a subject and a verb, and they can stand alone as a sentence. Dependent clauses have a subject and a verb, but they cannot stand alone as a sentence. And finally, there are three types of dependent clauses: adjective, adverb, and noun clauses. At this point, if you would then go to the next videos where we explain each of the three dependent clause types separately. Thank you very much.